I want to take a moment and introduce Ellen Hawes. Ellen is the Associate Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs with the American Association of Community Colleges, or AACC. She is the Principal Investigator on AACC's Advanced Technological Education Grant from the National Science Foundation and co-PI on the NSF-funded Mentor Connect project. Hawes serves as the Project Director for AACC's Mentor Links program, which provides mentoring and technical assistance to community colleges seeking to develop or strengthen STEM programs, and as lead of the National Community College Innovation Challenge, the CCIC, designed to engage students in STEM innovation. Thanks, Ellen, for joining us.
Thank you, Heather. And let me also extend a warm welcome from the American Association of Community Colleges, and also our thanks to Phi Theta Kappa for hosting this webinar. We're really excited to talk to you about the Community College Innovation Challenge. Before we begin, I'd love to introduce my co-presenters today. We have Allison Arnold, who was a member of our finalist CCIC finalist team from last year, representing Des Moines Area Community College. And also Annalisa Laurie, who was a coach with us last year, will be a judge for us this year, and is the manager of growth stage programs for Digital Undivided. And Courtney Larson, not on the screen, but you will definitely know Courtney's name. She works very closely with me on this competition. She's our ATE project coordinator at AACC, and she is in chat addressing your questions. So if you have any questions as we go through this presentation, please don't hesitate to put them in, and Courtney will be answering them. And then we have a really good bulk of time to address questions as part of this webinar as well. So again, welcome. And so I wanted to start by just doing a quick poll to determine who's in our audience. So it'd be great if you could share with us if you're a community college student, you're a faculty member, you're an administrator, or if you're representing another sector in higher ed, please let us know who's on our webinar today. So I see we've launched the poll. We've got people inputting. This is wonderful. I've got the majority of students on this call. This is awesome. And I think just a few seconds longer and we can launch the results. If we can launch the results, we've got 93% of you are representing students, community college students. So you're in the right place. We're really excited to engage with you today. So we can move forward. All right. So let me give you a little bit of background. Let me cover the agenda of what we're going to go over today. We're going to give you a background on the competition. We're going to talk about why innovate. We'll talk about the innovation boot camp, what you win, how you apply, how we select the finalist teams, a timeline for the competition. We'll share some examples of past innovations, and then we'll hear from our student team member and our coach/judge on why apply and what makes for a winning idea. And then, as I said, we've left about half of the time to really hear from you if you've got questions about the competition. If you want to vet an idea, you have an idea for an innovation, you want to share with us and get some feedback, it's really your time to ask questions and share some information with us. So first of all, why support innovation? So this competition is held by the American Association of Community Colleges in partnership with the National Science Foundation. So NSF actually funds this competition and has done so since 2015. We asked our NSF program director, Celeste Carter, who sends her regards, unfortunately could not be here this afternoon, but wanted to share with you why NSF supports innovation. And she said, it's actually a very easy answer. She said, when you look at all the issues that are arising globally, everything from supply chain issues coming out of the pandemic, to climate change, to healthcare, to being more responsive to our environment, that this is something that NSF is extremely focused on. You know, they fund science research across STEM disciplines, and they really want to push the frontier forward and getting that research and that knowledge and that learning and that innovation out into the market to where it can benefit society. And there is actually a program at NSF called Innovation Corps, or I-Corps, that the CCIC is modeled after, which is designed to help scientists and those working in STEM, again, get the strategic communication and entrepreneurial skills needed to get those innovations out of the lab, out of the workshop, and into the marketplace, and out where they can, again, benefit society. So NSF and AACC strongly believe that student innovation is critical for all of us, and we're all innovators in one way or another. So again, we greatly thank you for your interest in this competition, and we hope at the end of this you'll be ready to apply. So let me give you some further background on the competition itself. So the CCIC is a competition where teams of 2 to 4 community college students working with a faculty or an administrator team mentor use STEM to innovate solutions to real-world problems that you identify from local to global concern. So you apply for the CCIC, and we select up to 12 finalist teams to attend an innovation boot camp. And the boot camp provides professional development, mentoring, and coaching designed to build strategic communication and entrepreneurial skills to, again, help you advance those innovations in both the private and public sectors. So at the boot camp, you would participate in sessions on commercializing ideas, understanding value proposition, refining a pitch, and communicating with stakeholders. And it's really designed to enable students to discover and to demonstrate their ability to use STEM to make a difference in the world and to translate that knowledge into action. So teams interact with entrepreneurs, experts, and industry professionals throughout the boot camp, and they network with other community college innovators to make connections and share ideas. And the boot camp itself culminates in 2 events, and there's Allison in a picture here at one of those events. So teams showcase their projects at a student innovation showcase where they engage with elected representatives, legislative professionals, and other STEM leaders and stakeholders. Last year, this event was held at the U.S. Library of Congress. And pre-COVID, it was held on Capitol Hill in a House or Senate office building, and that's where we will be hosting the reception this year. We are working with our congressional representative to determine who will sponsor the reception, but the reception will be on Capitol Hill. And in addition to the poster session, teams also participate in a final pitch presentation in front of a panel of industry professionals to determine the first, second, and third place winning teams. So again, we really like to think that the CCIC provides a friendly and a constructive environment to hone innovation, gain entrepreneurial skills while also competing for cash awards. So speaking of awards, what do you win? Besides bragging rights of winning a national recognition, we do present a plaque to each finalist team for their leadership in STEM innovation, certificates from NSF and AACC for each finalist team member, and each team member receives full travel support to attend the Innovation Boot Camp, which is held in the Washington, D.C. metro area. In addition, each finalist team member receives a $500 cash honoraria. We realize we're taking you out of your lives for 4 days to travel to the DC area, and so we give you a modest honoraria to help with that. And then, as I said, we do have cash awards for the winning teams. You'll see that on the screen, but each first place team member gets $3,000, second place $2,000, third place $1,000. And there's no restriction on how you can use those funds. Those are for you for winning the competition. And those funds also go to the faculty or the administrator mentor that would accompany your team to the competition. Just wanted to share a few slides on stakeholder engagement, so you can see kind of the level of what happens at the reception. So the reception happens on Capitol Hill. And so how does the competition work? So teams of 2 to 4 students working with a faculty or administrator mentor apply to the CCIC. We do encourage diverse and interdisciplinary teams. So we encourage students in STEM, business, humanities, and other fields to get together. We found some of the highest rated teams, if you will, have a diversity of students that are involved in putting together their innovation. So then we ask the student teams to develop a solution to a real-world problem they identify. As part of the application process, you'll be asked to submit a written entry and a 90-second video addressing the problem, so the relevant background and context of it, the solution, so your solution, the STEM that informs it and how it's different and innovative, the impact and benefits on society, and then the video to tell a compelling story and how the team solution is innovative and unique in addressing the problem. So on our challenge website, the URL is listed on the slide under the resources tab. We have links to finalist videos from the last 2 years. So please go through their 90 seconds and take a look at some of the innovations and the way some of these videos were put together and communicated, so you can get a sense of what's been submitted. And these are all those that were selected for finalists. And we also have our full guidelines available as a PDF that has the information in this presentation and other requirements listed in an easy, accessible format. I do want to note that the teams are not required to have already implemented your innovation. This competition is focused on sharing ideas for how the innovation would be implemented in a real world scenario. If you have a working prototype, great. But if you don't, this is really an ideation competition. So you're thinking about it as if it were brought to fruition. So it doesn't already have to be implemented. Again, this is really designed to get you to start thinking of yourselves as entrepreneurs with a novel invention or creation or a product to eventually bring to the marketplace. So how do we select our finalist teams? Well, entries will be vetted and evaluated by a panel of NSF, AACC, and community college STEM experts using the review criteria, which is provided in detail on the challenge website and in our guidelines. But we'll be looking at assessing innovation and impact. So an assessment of the proposed solutions, use of STEM to address the problem, its impact to be transformative on quality of life, education, global competitiveness as an example, and how your solution differs from existing efforts. You don't have to come up with something completely new. You could be coming up with a take on something that addresses something a different way. Feasibility, so we'll be looking at the likelihood that the solution will work as presented and can be replicated. And an evaluation of the team's recognition of barriers or suggestions for ways they can address those challenges, and clarity of communication. So are you compliant with the entry guidelines and the written and video entries? Have you organized your facts and your data, and do you have consistent messaging? So that's what we'll be looking at in the written entries, which again is not long. It's not really, really cumbersome, but we will be asking you to address these areas, and then in the 90-second video. From here, our review panel will select up to 12 finalist teams to attend the Innovation Bootcamp, which will take place June 12th through 15 in Alexandria, Virginia. The expectation is that the finalist teams will attend the bootcamp, as that's where all the skills development, the networking occurs, and where the showcase and the final pitch presentation take place. So let me give you a timeline for the event. So submissions are due March 30th. We notify, that says 10 finalist teams. We'll actually take up to 12 finalist teams. Those teams will be notified of their acceptance and given materials about the boot camp. For them, we'll be running a welcome and orientation session that'll talk all about the boot camp, what they need to do to prepare, the travel logistics and all of that. Then they have a customer discovery webinar on May 5th, where you'll learn a little bit about customer discovery, and you'll be asked to do some stakeholder interviews prior to attending the boot camp. The boot camp itself is held June 12th to 15th, and then on site we will be determining the first, second, and third place teams and announcing those. Just as an example of some past innovations that I wanted to share, we'll ask Allison to talk about her team's innovation, but again, a lot of these are on the website. You can see the videos and you can read about past competitions to get an example of what has come to the boot camp or through the boot camp. But we've had everything from smart solar-powered recycling bins to drones to clean up oil spills, virtual reality applications to serve children with autism. We've had a lot of focus around the pandemic, from biodegradable masks to virus scanning tests, electrical vehicle conversion, producing electricity from wastewater, aquaponics to address world hunger, and using viruses to slow the spread of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. So it runs the gamut, anything from the physical sciences to the engineering sciences to IT and beyond. It really is up to you what to identify the problem, the need, and then your STEM-based solution. So with that, I would love to turn it over to Allison to give her perspective as a student who attended in person last year as a finalist, and to talk a little bit about why you should apply. And then hopefully we can encourage you to do so. So I will ask Allison to come on.
Yes, thank you, Ellen. And hello, everyone. It's amazing to see such an interest in CCIC, and I really hope by the end of the session you'll be motivated to apply if you haven't already. So let's get into it. So why should you apply for CCIC, and really what's in it for you as a student? As a past participant, I really believe that there are three big takeaways. The first one being entrepreneurial skills. Designing your innovation is only part of the equation. You'll need to explain your idea to potential stakeholders and to future customers. So essentially, how do you take STEM and market it to the average person? The second big takeaway I thought was networking. Connections are really huge when you're just getting started. Throughout the entire innovation challenge, you'll be meeting new people and they'll have resources for you, whether that be connecting you with a job, having advice for your innovation, or making new friends with the other students there at the boot camp. And I would highly recommend setting up a LinkedIn account beforehand so you can get in touch with your new contacts again. The third and biggest takeaway I thought was communication skills. This is the most important thing to me because I really learned how to be more sure of myself and how to better convey my ideas. A few other benefits, CCIC is basically free. Like Ellen mentioned, travel is covered, your meals will be covered, and your college will more than likely help out with any other expenses. So please don't let cost stop you from applying. Besides the professional development opportunities at the boot camp, you get to see Washington, D.C., which that's a bonus if you like to travel, maybe haven't been to that area before. Lastly, CCIC looks really good on scholarship applications, like the PTK transfer scholarships, for example. That's really good. And it's really good on resumes. I'll go ahead and share a little bit about my innovation and experience as well. So my team's name was Girls with Grit, and we were just a two-person team. Our innovation was called The Social Student, and it was an app that would help connect community college students to resources available on their campus, as well as encouraging connections among students and professors. It would help localize information like scholarships and grades and library hours, and featured an interactive college calendar and chat feature for talking with classmates and professors and tutors. So my teammate and I really saw a need in our own college for a centralized and simplified system, and that's how we thought of this app. So it was really, the whole innovation challenge was an experience in professional development for me. I am a self-described introvert. I do not like standing up in front of big groups and giving speeches. But the challenge really forced me to step outside my comfort zone and learn those effective communication skills. And I've become a more confident speaker, and I use those skills in every aspect of my life. It wasn't stressful, it definitely was, but it was definitely worth it. To wrap up real quick, I do have a few tips for you guys. First, you want to start early. There is and there will be a lot to do. I believe you guys have about a month left, so you want to get moving soon. A few other things to keep in mind as you develop your idea. What's the problem your innovation is addressing? And also think about who in particular is facing this problem. What unique benefits does your solution have? Like, why should I pick your innovation over something similar? And what would be the next steps for your innovation? And with all that said, I will turn it back over to Ellen, and you'll get to learn exactly what makes a winning idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And I did kind of gloss over. I was so focused on the poster session, I didn't speak about the pitch competition, which is part of the communication skills development as well. So your team would do the poster session on Capitol Hill, and on the last day of the event, you would do a pitch competition similar to a Shark Tank style type of event, where your team has 5 minutes to share and pitch their innovation before a panel of industry and entrepreneur professionals. And it is those two events, how you do at the poster session and how your team does at the pitch competition, that are scored to determine the winner. But I hope Allison has conveyed that it's not just winning the competition, that the skills that you develop as part of this week-long training event is kind of the real takeaway to this. And we have students attest time and time again how these skills have helped them in job interviews, in going to four-year institutions, in winning internships, or even getting published with some of the research that they've done here at the competition. So thank you, Allison, for being here, and she'll be able to answer some questions as well. But I will turn it over to Annalisa before that to talk about what makes for a winning idea. Annalisa?
I mean, how do I follow up with that? I mean, Allison, if you're not convinced, hi everybody, if you're not convinced by after listening to Allison to participate, I don't know that I can do anything more than that. But I do have a couple of notes that I'm going to pull up real quick. So this is my third year now, Ellen, I think, doing this. And of course, now
Yes.
I have so many windows open. Now my notes disappeared. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Yes, Annalisa worked with us as a coach for a couple of years, and yes, and this year will be a judge.
Yes. So Allison's team was one of the teams I coached, actually. And I was very amazed and impressed to see the growth that happened in the experience, and how you challenge yourself and working together and developing solutions to real life problems, I think encapsulates what Allison said on the best benefit of why you want to apply and be a part of it. I think obviously with such a wonderful turnout today for today's session, you all appear to be really excited to do things outside the classroom, right? Have kind of an experiential learning, real life experience and development of yourself and with your teammates. And maybe it sounds like from what I'm seeing in the chat, some of you already have ideas that you're working on. And so what great way to really bring those to more of a fruition to life and into your own entrepreneurial journey. Something that I always notice is that is very important and fundamental is just learning to investigate and the type of problems that you're trying to solve, and understanding the important components of research and really being a critical thinker. So that's something that I noticed being as a coach, and I'm really excited to be a judge this year. And so turning over to the topic of what makes a winning idea, I think that's a great question. And I've been doing pitch competitions for over a dozen years now, and it always blows my mind of, seeing how people evolve and presenting their ideas and just coming up with amazing solutions, and then going on to even building real businesses and becoming full-time entrepreneurs. So some soft skill aspects that Allison mentioned, I will say your presence is really important, and being able to present yourself and clearly articulate your idea and communicate is really important. So understanding the idea itself, have you thought through all of the different aspects and components of your idea? The problem specifically, something I used to always say to my students is, how big is the problem? How important? That is also some of the criteria, as Ellen mentioned, in evaluating your solution. So how big is the pie of the market or the solution that you're trying to solve? And how is it being solved right now? So kind of understanding the competitive landscape, and then what it makes your idea different, and what makes it different, innovative, and better maybe than what's currently out there. And also, I would say the last important piece, obviously, because this is an NSF-funded competition, is being very clear about the STEM aspect of your solution. You need to kind of have your feet in both places, right? You need to think about the business and the market and the potential customer that you would be serving, but also how is it grounded in STEM specifically? So knowing the feasibility and the dynamics of what the STEM solution is I think, very important. And so when you do your customer discovery, I think that will really help also in fleshing out what that idea is, the STEM component, and how the customer that you would be potentially serving. I feel like a little academic in the saying all of those things, but I'm trying to give you an insider scoop now that I'm going to be involved from another angle this year, and making sure you have the best answers to your questions and resources to be successful. And in my book, all 12, all the finalists, everybody up, even just applying, you're all winning because you're putting yourself out there, you're being vulnerable, you're taking a chance on yourself. And what better way to do that and then to be in this competition. So I will end with that. I think it's a wonderful experience. As Allison said, I love meeting all the students, being able to experience Washington, D.C. as a whole experience in itself, and that we need you and your creative problem solving minds. So definitely don't miss out and apply.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Everything else, everything they both said, yes. We really wanted to, as I said, leave a lot of space for questions from you, or if you have an idea you want to float by us, that this is a chance to do so. Before I turn it over to Heather to see if there are any questions she can throw our way, I did just want to remind you of the deadline, which is March 30th. The challenge website is listed on the slide, and if you have questions following this presentation, please don't hesitate to email the email address on the slide, ccic@aacc.nche.edu. Courtney and I are happy to address any questions you have about the competition, why you should apply, or give you some feedback on your ideas. And we'll piggyback on one thing Annalisa said in regard to, make sure it's grounded in STEM, that the vetting of the STEM and the technology, that actually happens in the review process before you get to the boot camp. So our evaluators, our review panel will be looking at that it is feasible in the world of STEM, that you understand your area of STEM that would inform your innovation. But once you get to the boot camp, it's learning how to communicate that STEM and learning the business and the entrepreneurial side of your innovation. So just to make the distinction that the STEM, yes, it's grounded and it's very important. But once you get to the boot camp, we do have people who come in thinking it's going to be a STEM camp, and it's not. It really is about learning to communicate and message, and how to identify a value proposition, and how to put customer discovery to work to shape your innovation. And so I just want to make that clear. And if you're nervous about presenting, we give you plenty of sessions on developing those skills. We put you in coaching sessions where coaches will watch you. We can film you presenting. So we give you a lot of opportunity to hone those skills while you're on the ground with us before you go into the poster session and before you go into the final pitch presentation. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if there are any questions.
Great. Well, thank you, Ellen, Allison, and Annalisa. It's always good to hear your information and advice for our students. And I just wanted to share that your winning team last year consisted of PTK members. So we're really excited to have seen that, to be able to talk about this last year and then see that come to fruition was really neat. But you do not need to be a PTK member to apply. So if you are setting up a team, you can of course have other people from other groups be part of your team that do not have to be PTK members. So one of the things that I am seeing as part of this is we're getting a lot of questions about eligibility. So I'm wondering if you can share with us a little bit more, do you need to specifically be enrolled at a community college, or could you be dually enrolled, say under 18 and attending a high school and a community college at the same time?
All team members do need to be 18 by March 30th, which is the deadline of the competition, and that is for liability largely reasons. You must be a student seeking a 2-year degree at the time of application. So we do have students that have graduated by the time the boot camp comes around, but at the time of application, as of March 30th, you were pursuing a 2-year degree, so you are eligible to compete.
Okay. So as long as this spring semester, right now, they're enrolled. So if they graduated last year, it's too late.
It's too late, yes. You have to be currently enrolled in a 2-year degree program.
And now, are there, do you have any restrictions on international students, if they're international students attending a community college in the United States? And what about undocumented students? We had a question come up about that.
Certainly. Since this is a National Science Foundation funded competition, so this is federal funds, the NSF requires that student team members be U.S. citizens, nationals, or permanent residents. Okay. And you would be required to check a box indicating that status. So again, that is a requirement of our funder, as these are federal tax dollars that are funding the competition.
Great. Okay. Thanks for sharing that with us. So we had a lot of questions that came through that talked a little bit about teams and team structure. Can you tell us a little bit more? Do students, if I'm participating, do I set up my own team, or is there a place that I can go on your website that can help me match up with other people or other people who are looking for teammates?
Well, we don't have a matching service, if you will, but I'm going to ask Allison to talk about how her team was put together. But we've definitely seen where a faculty has worked to assemble a team. We've seen where a student has had a great idea and, put out a call to fellow teammates, or gone into business classes and actually pulled together a team on their own, or gone through their PTK chapters to see if there are people that would be interested in working with them on this competition. So we have students that in the same classes have banded together and done this, and we have students who have actually gone out of their class and pulled in other students, some of which they didn't even know, to see, would you be interested in being a part of this? And you can certainly reach out if you have a supportive faculty member. Would they be willing to announce this to class or share this opportunity to try to pull together a team? Allison, I don't know if you want to share how your team came together. So I've seen it come from the student as well as the mentor in terms of how a team is assembled.
Yeah. So one of my professors actually found out about the innovation challenge, and she shared it with with all of her classes. And I had previously done kind of like a statewide innovation challenge. So I had a team from that challenge, and we went in and decided to do the national challenge. But I really think a lot of the teams from last year's boot camp, there's a lot of professors that had really pushed the idea to their classes, and that's where the students came together because they found out about the idea from there.
Does sound like an opportunity for like PTK students that can get together, honors students can get together, a bio or a STEM club, things like that. Like if you're looking for team members. So would you suggest, though, that with a team that you start with the mentor or a faculty member?
I think it can happen either way if the team wants to assemble, but you will need a faculty or administrator. You'll need someone to kind of support your team, and that mentor will be traveling with you to the competition. And that is a place we can help. If you've got a team assembled, but you're having trouble finding a mentor, please email and reach out to us. We do have contacts through the ATE network, through NSF, to see if there is somebody at that campus we can reach to see if they can put you in touch with a mentor. And we have had teams who, a mentor has been very involved from the beginning, and we've had some mentors that couldn't travel, and so they had someone come in from a different department that went with the team, and both have been equally successful. But we do ask you to travel with a representative from your institution, either in a faculty or an administrator role, just to be your guide, to be present on the ground. And we have programming at the boot camp for that individual as well.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So that sounds like if you can get your 5-ish students together, it's five members on a team. Is that correct?
2 to 4.
2 to 4. Okay. So if you can get your 2 to 4 students together and you come up with this idea for this innovation challenge, you just can reach out to your group, and they'll help identify a mentor potentially.
We can help identify a mentor. Yes.
Okay.
Can't guarantee it, but we can certainly get you some contacts and see if we can't get that done.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. So I know that we've had some students. I know you said that the project itself has to be in STEM programming or STEM, centered, but you don't have to necessarily be, and like not all team members have to necessarily be STEM majors. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. So certainly the innovation, the solution needs to be based in STEM, but your team does not need to all be STEM majors. Again, some of the more successful teams we've seen have a team member coming in from communications or coming in from business. All the elements of a team that would need to rally to actually bring a product to market.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could see that. That's great. Can an individual make up a team of one?
Unfortunately, no. You do need at least a partner. It used to be 3 to 5, and we found we had so many teams and duos that wanted to participate. So we changed that, I think, 2 years ago to make it 2. But unfortunately, we can't have a team of 1.
Great. And then I did see some comments, and I think they may have been answered already, but some people asked does it give them an advantage already if they have a prototype set? Or are there any concerns if they already have a patent on something? Does it have to just be an idea to start with? And does some of those others help or disqualify them?
It doesn't disqualify you if you have a prototype, but I wouldn't say it advantages you either. It just means you're a little further in the process. But if you have a working prototype of something you've been working on, and again, you haven't won multiple competitions with it already, which would make you ineligible for this. So we're really looking that this is the first competition you're entering with this innovation. You're certainly eligible. I don't know, Annalisa, if you want to speak to it or not, but I think people get hung up on how far they are in the process. And as long as the STEM is vetted, you'll learn more about this, but it needs to be a solid idea, but we don't require a prototype. But Annalisa, did you want to comment on that at all?
No, I think it really depends on the idea itself also. And so obviously the STEM feasibility will come through. If you do have a prototype, they'll be able to know what your thought process was in building that specific solution. But to what Allison's idea earlier, fleshing out the idea itself and knowing the business case for it and the market and the potential, that's also just as heavily important. So it's okay. It's great if you have a prototype, but again, you need to have the business case also to back that up, I think. So I think it's a great idea, but necessarily makes you more advantageous necessarily. Yeah.
Great. That's very helpful. So this kind of speaks to the true nature of our community. That community colleges serve all people, in that, so I know that there are some community colleges that they offer both 2-year and 4-year degrees on the same campus. If that's the case, could a team be made up of 2-year students in the associate degree and 4-year students who are in a bachelor's, like, how some schools offer BSN or something like that, yet they're still going to the same community college?
We do require that all the student team members participating are in a 2-year degree program.
Okay.
We certainly understand that community colleges come in all different flavors, and I've gotten that question. I'm in an institution that gives 4-year degrees, but I'm in a 2-year program. So we're really just looking that this is the Community College Innovation Challenge. So we're just looking for the students that are in the 2-year degree programs, and that's by design. NSF was very aware of the fact that 2-year students are not often recognized for STEM innovation and wanted to give them a seat at this table. And there's plenty of competitions for 4-year students. So not to take away from the 4 years, but the focus of this competition is on the 2-year college student for that reason.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. We have some similar things with the Phi Theta Kappa scholarships that we are interested in recognizing students who are actually attending community colleges in their associate degree programs. So totally get that. Does it matter if, there has also been, especially since pandemic, a rise in a lot of online students. There's no problem if they are let's say they're at a school in Texas or Tennessee or something like that, but they're actually physically living in another state. Is that an issue? As long as
they're enrolled at that institution.
And
certainly
the other team members are at that institution as well.
Yes, the team members all need to be from the same institution. So it is a college-based team that is applying.
So they might have so it's possible, but they might have a little bit more of a challenge because they'd have to figure out a way to connect virtually, it sounds like.
Well, but honestly, we ran this competition virtually in 2021, where many of the teams had never even met in person, but were all students at the same competition and went through the challenge in a virtual fashion and did amazingly well. So it can be done.
That's awesome. And again, I don't remember if we already asked this. I did see it go by a couple of teams, but teams have to be made up of individuals at the same school and not across different community colleges, correct? Yes,
it's the same school.
And what about different campuses? Does that matter?
If you want to run, we would need to know which you want. Just email us with that, because there are some where it's a branch campus, and there are some that they're actually, even though they're under one system, they're very different schools. So let us know if that's the case, and we'll figure that out.
Okay, perfect. Of course, you did say associate degree. What about students? Because we're seeing a lot of students who are now in like career and technical education, and people who are perhaps pursuing a certificate, like a workforce certificate or something like that. Would they be eligible to be part of a team?
Yeah, we have focused on the 2-year degree programs for this competition.
Now, so it sounds like we've had a lot of questions about eligibility, a lot of those kinds of how do I make up a team and mentors. Now, I think that one of the things that might be really interesting, I don't know if you have any insights, especially with Annalisa now being a judge. As a judge, what are the things that you're looking for? How do you evaluate the applications, and like, do you have a rubric, or is there anything that students can review to help prepare themselves to present their application in the best manner for judge review?
Well, I'll ask Annalisa to comment, but I will say
she handles that part.
They do have a judging rubric. You can see the criteria. It is online on our website in the guidelines for how we assess the student poster session, how we assess the pitch competition, and prior to that, how we assess the application. So at this stage of the game, you want to be focused on how you're preparing your application. So you're really looking at developing, identifying the problem, your solution, its impact and benefits on society, and telling a good story about it. And I saw some questions about, are there examples of past college innovations? Yes, on the resource page of our website, you can view videos from the last 2 years of finalist team members, and you can read about their innovations. So that's the application piece is really identifying those main areas in a written entry and in a video. And we are looking at those elements, and we're really looking strongly at the STEM piece and the feasibility of it and how clearly you're communicating what it is you're doing. Once you get to the boot camp and the poster session and the pitch presentation, that's a different rubric. But those are things, once you're here, once you're at the boot camp, you need to be those guidelines are also on the website, but we go over all of that on the webinar with the finalist teams, and we go over it at the boot camp, so you're really familiar with what is required once you're selected as a finalist. And I don't know, Annalisa or Allison, if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, I think you're very comprehensive. I think that the teams that I saw succeed the most, and maybe they weren't the first prize winners, but the ones that really score highly, they work their butts off. This is a lot of work. I mean, it's a very, you're in a time constraint. There's a lot of deliverables, and getting to that final day of showing the poster session and having that ready, and there's a lot of strict criteria on that. So there's pressure points to really get you to focus and work together and collaborate. That's why having a team is really important, and having a mentor or faculty, faculty mentor who can be there to support you and cheer you on. Because a lot of this is like a head game too. I mean, it's not just the idea and then learning all the concepts, it's digesting it, being able to inform yourself and your team on how to move forward and put your best foot forward. So I think that's the best advice I could give for that.
And Allison, did you want to add anything on what they need to be thinking of in terms of how they're going to be evaluated?
I guess definitely second that, check out that website. Lots of the information that you need is going to be on there, finding out what you want to include in your videos and typing up how exactly your innovation works. But this first part, your application, is going to be about the idea. And then once you get past that into the customer discovery and boot camp, it'll be more about definitely the business side and marketing your idea. So focus on the STEM part first, and then onto the communication part next.
Thank you.
So I think that covers most of what I've seen as the kind of overarching questions, a lot of eligibility, the teams, the mentors, judging, things like that. Does anybody have any final comments, questions I want to drop in the chat? Otherwise, I would say, Ellen, do you want to share one more time an email address, or I see the website is in here, AACC innovationchallenge.com. If students have questions, they can go look in there. Is a place to email you there as well?
Yes, place to email us is on the website, and I'm dropping it into chat as well.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, the CCIC email address, and we have multiple people monitoring that. So any question, please go ahead and put that in there.
It looks like there was the last question that I'm seeing is about people with disabilities. I'm assuming people with disabilities, of course, are encouraged to participate. is there availability for reasonable accommodations as well as family to travel with them as well? I don't know if that's an individual question and should be reached out to you separately.
That we can certainly deal with family caregivers. I hope you can hear me.
Okay.
I'm getting a message
Yeah.
that says my
So
internet is
frozen.
unstable.
You were frozen there for a little bit. So I
But
think
yes,
we
we can work with family caregivers. If there's any question of
Okay.
that nature, please feel free to email.
Yeah, just reach out directly, because chances are they would probably just need to know what you would need, what you would need from them to help make sure that you can participate.
Absolutely, and we're happy to accommodate. And I do see there's a question on max number of team members. So we're looking 2 to 4 students with a faculty or administrator.
Oops, frozen again. I think she said 2 to 4 was a team with 1 faculty member, or can there be more than 1 faculty
It's
member? One faculty member. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes. Poor Ellen. She stopped in a frozen position. That happens to all of us every once in a while. There is a drop in the call. So I think and Courtney, correct, or not Courtney, Carolyn, correct me if I'm wrong, we will be sending a link out to everyone who has registered. So I believe most of the questions that are in the chat have already been answered. And if you'd like to go watch the link when it comes out sometime next week, feel free to do that. You can always reach out to the AACC team for CCIC at any time on their website and on their email address. Any parting words or anything that you all would like to share?
I would just strongly encourage people to apply. If you're even thinking about it, please do it. The students that have walked away from this have said that it is life-changing, and we're still in touch with students that started in these competitions in 2015 and can attest they use these skills and the network that they've established through this competition. And I don't know, Allison, Annalisa, any final words?
Just do it. That's my advice. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Well, we did have a chance to read all the winning teams last year. It was just so exciting to see what everyone is doing. So I'll end this on saying, I'm sure you, as well as us, we're really excited to see what happens this year and what kinds of innovative items and projects that can be considered. So
I do want to, before I just saw a question on nonprofits. Yes, absolutely. Nonprofits are part of this. If you have an innovation that would lend itself to a nonprofit, we have definitely had those come in and as finalist teams. So yes, doesn't have to be a for-profit entity that you're creating. So
great.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Please apply. Please reach out.